All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do a current events and Q&A for you guys this afternoon. Give me just a moment. I'm going to get the little super chat goal started. I'm going to briefly cover this topic, and then we will move on to other stuff. I'm going to start doing, again, more of these various current events. This one, I'm not really going to be calling the person out themselves, right? So Joey Swole, and I kind of got mad at Joey. I generally hold a positive view of Joey's work. I got mad at him a while back when he backpedaled. What's going on, Lars? How you doing, brother? I guess the notices are going out. So it looks like he's got involved in a little fiasco. And the funny thing is, his fans are overwhelmingly supportive. But I keep seeing news stories come through my social media feed from these different outlets saying, "Oh, people are angry at him. They're accusing him of being transphobic in his transphobic position," and it really isn't. That's its own separate topic. But again, he's been told by his fans, and I'm going to tend to agree, don't cave to the whole woke mob on this one. Like, he stood up for a woman who was essentially being harassed by a man in the weight room, uh, or the women's dressing room at her gym. He called it out, stood up for her, who she ran into trouble with her gym for everything for speaking out. But apparently, looking at it, it looks like the dude was the offender, right? The dude was the offender. It was someone who, uh, for all purposes, you could clearly tell they're a man. They're not very far into their transition situation. My understanding of it, this person had a history of some aggression, some violence, was belligerent with her, problematic with her, and she took it to the gym staff, and they got onto her, and the person in question that tried to turn it into some sort of issue in regards to this, in regard to discrimination and sexuality. But it's looking like they were the aggressor, and this is a person who had a history of aggression. Like, this dude has a history of domestic violence and stuff. So it's one of those cases where it's like, oh, come on, just stop. Nobody cares about your nonsense. But, people were then trying to certain parts of cancel culture jumping and saying he's being transphobic. It's like, look, whatever views you have on this topic, there are lines you have to draw. And there's a simple fact of the matter is there's an individual in the women's locker room at the gym, an individual being aggressive towards women who has male genitalia and they're visible in there. Okay, just stop. There's a point where just stop with your nonsense to say, hey, this dude doesn't need to be in her harassing women, bothering women. It has nothing to do with transphobia. Just stop. Just stop, people. Right? And we get that that's a whole separate topic. We could argue about what even defines that. All day long. And I don't even want to entertain that entire topic in this, because this is the case of Joey Swole simply standing up for a woman who's appears for all purposes to be in the right, who's being harassed in there, and then for him to call it out in the gym, to take the other person's side because they're scared of certain stuff. In cancel culture, this is problematic. There's a point where people have to just go, no, we're just not going to put up with this sort of stuff. But some of it's gone too far. That's an example. That's a perfect example. When you have men getting in a fighting ring, hitting women, when you have men showing their junk in the women's restrooms and changing rooms, we've gone too far. Okay, you have gone too far at this point. And I think the majority of people, you can't even say, oh, this is some fringe discrimination or some right wing discrimination at that point. When you say, hey, dude, you shouldn't be flinging a penis around inside the women's locker room or the women's restroom. Seriously, just stop. People have lost their minds. People have lost their minds. That's definitely a line where I think any reasonable person, irrespective of politics and ideology and everything, just goes, yeah, dude, this is too far. Any sane person at that point. Get those likes up, by the way, guys. Lars, appreciate you letting me know we're getting those out. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a community tab post also here, guys. just in case. So we'll get more people in here. All right, let's get that. What? It's not letting me do it. What's going on? Having a little minor problem with that. Let me try that once again. It's not letting me do my community tab. Let me try that one more time. Well, it's not going to let me do the community tab. So let me get back over to you lovely people. So let's get conversations, thoughts, questions, ideas, stuff. Hit me, people. What do we have? Lars, anything going on? Anybody got thoughts on this topic? We have enough people watching, enough people clicking likes that we know we got people in here. We're good. We definitely back Trill. So we covered this whole topic. I'm gonna drop the whole main topic we started with. We spent 5 minutes talking about it. I think we covered the basics. I'm just hoping Joey doesn't backpedal on this one like he did previously on this other situation with the Hulk Hogan thing, which again, he shouldn't have backpedaled on. Good evening, coach. I'm ready to exercise my kapow power tonight. If anyone steps out of line, good to know, David. We're ready to go. We got the channel members in here, right? But give people a few minutes to get in here. I wonder why it's not letting me post that community tab post. What's going on there? Let's try that one more time. What the dealio? No, it does not. It doesn't want us to do community tab. As Limitless steps out of line. Limitless has got a channel membership now. He went ahead. He was scared of getting Kapow. He's scared of getting Kapow, so he got a channel membership now. So Limitless has got that. Although he's got that whole situation with Lucy Coach messaged him and said she just wanted to cuddle now. And then he said she canceled on him today. I don't know, man. He might be in here getting all upset. All right, Define. I like Joey's stuff in general, but he came off as soft with the whole Hogan thing. That's kind of my same position too. I'm generally favorable of Joey. I don't like the whole push of going so hard on filming in the gym because as a coach, I think we need to be filming in gyms. But by and large, I'm 90% favorable towards Joey, right? I'm about 90% favorable towards his work. The Hulk Hogan thing, that backpedaling though, right? Coach, I'm back doing full body. It's so nice coming from bro splits. It's okay to switch between barbell, incline, and flies between each of the 3 weeks. I mean, flies are not going to fill the role the bench press or incline does, though. It's not a big movement. You're not getting triceps. Like, this is not replaceable. Okay, let me be clear, Lars. A fly is in no way a replacement in the slot for a bench press or an incline. Okay, that makes sense? It's just simply not. But why do you need a very light chest day? I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's do something else for your chest. Maybe a dumbbell movement. Veins looking like ropes, coach. Appreciate it. Man, see, for me, not curling is so hard. I'm so used to curls, and I know that I feel like it hasn't done that much for me, and I need to just focus on chins. Do you guys know how hard it is for me to not curl at the end of a workout while messing with this at the moment? Just so I can really see if I'm right. It is so hard for me to not curl because I almost feel like if I don't curl, my biceps are going to shrink. It's hilarious. Even though they were probably bigger when I wasn't doing any curls years ago. Oh man. Coach, have you heard about Larry Will scamming another influencer out of his money for personal expense? I've only heard about it in here. I've not looked into it further. I probably should so that I can cover it in one of these coming up. I can, if I recover from 3 heavy chest sessions, I feel the flies are basically a recovery session. Okay. Fair enough, Lars. Curls are elite for vibes, right? And that's the point, man. It is so hard for me to not curl. I almost feel like I should just come in and do one set of curls, and I very well might just work that in just to do a set, because you guys know me. Even if it's just one hard set to failure. Yep. Lars, what about overhead press? How many push-ups can you do, Coach? I don't know. I bet you I could do at least 10. Right? Considering I did 225 for 19 reps on the bench press today for my back off work, I bet I could do at least 10 push-ups. Not that I would bother, not that I would care. I got better stuff to do with my time than goof off with a bunch of push-ups. But I bet you I could do 10, at least, a minimum of 10. Right? He basically promised guys 3% of his business plus income, and Larry simply didn't pay him a short while after. So did he have a contract, or he just made a promise? Like, does Larry Will seem like the most trustworthy person? For shoulders, I toggle between overhead press, Swiss bar, overhead press, laterals galore. Okay. Yes, it's lead to court. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see what happens with that. Larry thinks he has a healthy heart because his blood work was good. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of accumulated arterial plaque and atherosclerosis, though. Also, that risk of left ventricular hypertrophy. Coach, I could overhead press, but my right shoulder seems permanently destroyed from heavy overhead press. Man, sorry about that, David. I mean, you're speaking to the choir. Like, I wish so badly that I could come in and just strong on overhead press again. Right? But I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm not going to give up on it. I feel like I need to go a hair wider on mine, though. I need to go a little wider, keep working on it, and just build up from a lightweight. But the thing is, it feels heavy. That's the silly part. Like, even when I do stuff like 95 pounds for sets of 12 after all that heavy benching, it feels like heavy overhead pressing. That's what's ridiculous, right? That's what's funny. The muscles feel like they're working with 150 pounds. Oh, Larry simply. I mean, Larry is obviously not the sharpest knife in the drawer, guys. Marcinio. I mean, let's be realistic here. Larry has all the strength and athletic gifts in the world, but given the silly circus acts and the other senseless injuries, the excessive, reckless levels of drug use early on, I mean, there's indications that Larry is not necessarily in possession of upper echelon mental faculties. And that's okay. Not everyone has to be smart. It's not necessary. But, he's not exactly a bright dude looking at the risk-taking behavior and other stuff. It is what it is. See how much more polite I said it than you did? I can be very diplomatic and polite when I need to. You're like, Larry simply needed to say, well, no, he's just simply not in possession of upper echelon mental faculties. All things considered, based upon the weight of evidence. I need an MRI scan to see what the problem is. I wake up in agony. Yeah, that's not good, David. That's definitely not good, bro. You got to fix that. All right. Well, hopefully that gets resolved for you. I wonder what's up with this slow feed in here. I'm gonna try that community tab one more time. I wonder why it's bugging out. It is straight bugging out. It's having a big error when I try to attach any videos. No. Google Docs an invalid response. Why are they being like that? Let's try this one other way. I'm gonna try something else, guys. There's one other option that we have available to us. There we go. I tried it that way. I just did a direct link instead of attaching it. It was affecting my pull-ups as well, but I seem to be able to do those again now, so things are looking up. I agree. Laura says, David, actually a good sign. Nightly shoulder pain points to inflammatory issues. Marcino says he should have outsourced his business handling, even though the dumbest person alive would know that, right? David says, Lars, I'm assuming an MRI is the only way of getting answer to what the problem is. In your case, it might be, especially if you're having pain, right? Especially if there's pain, especially you described it as agony, wake up in agony sometimes. That's definitely not good, guys. That's definitely not good. Yep. Yep. Coach, is there any update on Limitless? He has submitted his CV for any jobs. He says he did. He was in the super chat. He gave us an update on his love life this morning in the coffee chat. You can get an MRI, but my bet is they won't see much. Let us know how it goes, please. I had 5 shoulder surgeries in my life, dumbest things I ever did. All right. Got to watch them surgeries, guys. Got to watch them surgeries. You know. Thoughts on bulletproof coffee for weight loss? I hope that you're trolling. Given my position on butter and the fact that you're adding pure saturated fat in liquid form to your diet, that's probably a horrible thing for weight loss. Coach, did you sustain any injuries from the 550 slip? No. I had a good workout afterwards, right? Chin ups and everything went fine. Whole workout was good. Hands are good. No, it just I couldn't. The weight was started to slip on that second rep. So I'm going to have to work on more grip work. David, bulletproof coffee is something from like 15 years ago that David Asprey came up with, to where for his keto people, he had them adding a stick of butter to their coffee every morning and melting butter in their coffee. Again, how far down the kooky keto rabbit hole do you have to go for this? Because it tastes awful. Yeah, I mean, the strength was good. I just didn't have the grip, you know? Right? Well, the same thing with ghee. Like, why are you people so obsessed with just adding extra saturated fat to your diet? It's absurd, right? Yeah, why would you ruin good coffee with butter? It's insanity. Like, it's anti-science, it's anti-evidence, you know. Have you guys not looked at the actual clinical research or long-term research and studies and clinical trials all over the world on things like butter and ghee and all this stuff? It's bad for you. This is not a case of, going back into Ansel Keys' work like your silly, weird cult leadership in the keto world tell you. This is current modern evidence repeatedly shows this. This is pretty mainstream around the world. Why would you think these things have a lot of vitamins? Unless you're magically adding them. Same thing, Daddy. The same thing with grass-fed butter. Butter has all these vitamins. Where? Then why can't the scientists find them when they check the foods? Why, when they examine them and study them, can they not find all these magical vitamins? Why is no one but the keto people aware that they exist? Right. But in what quantities? Just because something contains them doesn't mean it's enough for you to not get a deficiency. Right. Right. Ghee was your only would be deficient. Your connection is unstable. Please wait while we're reconnecting. Oh my gosh. Hey, Daddy. Think about how stupid that statement is. Just because something has been around for thousands of years doesn't mean that it's good for you. It's fine now. Again, you guys come up with this is crazy nonsense. Arsenic has been around for thousands of years, therefore it's good for you. See how easy that is to say? Lead has been around for thousands of years, therefore you should eat it. Doctors didn't recommend smoking, David. I've debunked that myth. So this is not how you research stuff. So again, arguing that margarine and trans fat margarine is illegal in the United States now, by the way, it's been outlawed by federal law. So arguing that this now illegal synthetic food is bad for you doesn't make butter or ghee not kill you. Hey, David, I've done whole detailed videos on the history of that, by the way. So one doctor recommended smoking. Doesn't mean that scientists weren't screaming that it was bad while the cigarette companies ran a campaign of actors who pretended to be scientists claiming otherwise. You do realize that was all marketing. It wasn't scientists, it was the cigarette companies paying actors and running ads. In fear, when scientists started figuring out it was linked to lung cancer 80, 90 years ago, they started discovering it and they started putting out data showing this. When they first started studying it, and the cigarette companies ran a massive PR campaign with advertising to try to counter it. This is well documented in history, but that shows you how effective marketing can be. Because still to this day, a whole generation believed that scientists and doctors promoted smoking. That's how powerful their advertising was. That shows you the power of advertising. They completely fabricated a lie and marketed it, and it gained widespread traction and belief. It was completely false. It was completely fabricated by the cigarette companies, not researchers, not scientists, not doctors. You know, so again, behold the power of marketing. You know, how easily swayed people are in groups. That's a perfect lesson for you. By the way, the character who's promoting the gi in here made his new account today. It's a totally new profile. Just an FYI. Came in here just to promote gi, right? Um, but that's not how we argue if foods are good for you or not. That's not how it works. We look at large scale evidence. We don't make appeals to tradition. We don't make appeals to culture. You don't make the appeal to nature fallacy. We look at hard evidence. Look at data. Look at what happens when humans eat it and we measure the effects. This is what we care about, right? What can we measure? What can we prove? And by we, I don't mean just us in the US. I don't mean anything that might have corporate sponsorship. We are talking when you look around the world, look at various independent testing, compare controlled clinical trials, compare it with epidemiology, population studies, and you look for the big picture. All these added saturated fats are probably just about some of the worst stuff you can eat. Now, ghee isn't healthy. It is literally the opposite. Because if you say, well, you can get away with small amounts of it without hurting you, is not how we define healthy. Right? That's not the definition of healthy. In fact, that's quite the opposite. Yeah, ghee is not healthy. It's not something that I would add to my diet if my goal was to be healthy or live longer. You know, sure there is. There's big butter. There's big dairy. Those absolutely exist. What are you talking about? You tell me there isn't big dairy industry? You telling me there's not an industry that's geared towards selling butter? Okay. Imagine the reaction from pathologists to first dissecting the body of someone who had been smoking for life, right? Yeah. It's been used as a health food for thousands of years. How do you know that people were healthy? Why were they called it a health food? Really? Thousands of years people called it for health food? Alcohol has been consumed for thousands of years. It's a poison. There are some cultures that believe that alcohol had medicinal values. That's all been debunked. Straight poison. Again, you have no argument. The hard evidence shows otherwise. Ghee is like a variation of butter. It's basically, David, it's a pure, refined, saturated fat that the keto people obsess over. It's one of the keto tard magical foods, right? Basically, not just keto people, but the keto tards, which are the really moronic ideological keto people, call them keto tards. They believe it's a superfood, just like butter, just like they think grass-fed butter and stuff is. No evidence for it. A lot of biblical scholars believe that it was non-alcoholic wine that Jesus made. That's one I had to reconcile myself, by the way. As someone who believes that alcohol is one of the most evil things in existence, I had to do my own research to reconcile that with my own Christian beliefs. Hey, Daddy, you're promoting horrible foods that cause heart attacks in my live stream in a health and fitness and strength channel. Channel members, if one of you would like to initiate a vote, feel free to do so. Good job on the 19 rep bench press today. Could see you feeling that final. Dude, you are promoting it, Daddy. You're promoting Gee right now. All right, Defiant has called for a Kapow. Do we have a second? David, 2 Kapows from channel members. We have 2 Kapows, and he stays. Connor gives a stay. Kapowski, now he's going to throw insults. Well, I think we're done. 5 Kapows, and you called me a coward. Really, I'm the one up here using my real name and my real face. You have been judged by a jury of your peers, and you have been found guilty of treason and against blaspheming Jesus Christ, talking about him making alcohol. You have been found guilty by a jury of your peers, and the sentence is death. Kapow! And you are out of here. May God have mercy on your soul. But this jury will not. Hopefully he got right with Jesus. All right. Borderline Kapow for Coach calling another man daddy. All right. Yeah, he's gone. A lot of members now, dude. They've been going up. I've been picking up like 5 new members a week. Maybe channel members there. Marcinio, you might have to get in on that action. It's telling you, man. Telling you. I started this one really early. That's why I think the view counts a hair low. We'll see what happens. You need to up your game, Marcinio. I'm telling you, man. Got to up your game. Right? I still got like 5 more shorts I got to put up later too. But no, man, as far as that bench press, bro, that 19 reps was hard. I didn't think I was going to lock the 19th rep. Like I got to 15. So here's how it went in my head. I got to 15 and I'm like, I'm going to get 20. I'm going to get 20 reps today. I'm going to get 20. Like I can do it. I got to 18 and I'm like, I don't know if I got 19. I ground out the 19 and the 19, my chest was burning so bad I did not think I would lock it. I almost just had to swing it into the hooks because it wouldn't lock. 19 reps. Yeah, it was definitely burning. 225 for 19. I was feeling it. My chest and my triceps both were lit up. They were lit up. Teddy's were like a pow, like that. Addicted strength. Yeah, that's what I meant. If you were shaking on that final rep, but it's still a sweet PR. That's just part of doing ultra high reps. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was shaking. Like I didn't think I was going to lock it. Like, man. But we got it. That may have been why my grip was giving out a little on that deadlift. That could have been a factor because I couldn't grip that deadlift after. I think people have to remember that when they see the deadlift, me losing the grip on the second rep and near the top. I also had just done that bench press. Right? So I went from the bench to the deadlift. It could have been a factor. So maybe my nervous system was just like, no, we're not gripping anything. But we have to be able to deadlift fatigued. Like, because even in a meet, we pull fatigue, guys. We squat and bench press before the deadlift. And that throws a lot of guys off in a meet, especially if their first meet is a shorter meet and they're not spaced out by enough. Like if you go to your first meet and you only get an hour to 2 hours between the squat and the deadlift because it's a small meet, working efficient, your dudes are in for a rude awakening. What happens when you reach 20? I don't know, man. I don't know what happens when we reach 20. I'm pretty sure when I get to 20 reps, right? I'm pretty sure that when I get to 20 pause reps with 225 on the bench press, that there's going to be a rainbow that drops into my weight room with a unicorn sliding down it. Or a leprechaun with like a pot of gold. Something magical will happen. Right? Something magical will happen, I'm convinced. right? That's how it works, guys. Here's where I make the joke. Guys, when you get there and you're going for that bench goal and you're like, I'm going to get that 20 reps. And finally, when I reach that 20 rep with 225, my father will finally be proud of me for the first time in my life. Guys, when I finally deadlift 600 pounds, finally, my dad will be proud of me. Oh, God. There's something fundamentally broken with people who chase elite strength. Just saying. Joey Swole better stay on the ground this time. He better. We're keeping our eyes on him. That's right. We're watching this time. Guys, I need some water. I'm going to get some water. All right. We got water. What's going on up in here? Tapping into hizzy. Jason, do you filter your drinking water? No. I used to. I don't anymore, man. I just drink the tap water. Water quality is pretty good here, so I'm not worried about it. Water, I had to filter it when I lived in the Upper Kirby area, though. That water, I did not like it at all. Here it's pretty decent. So even though that was a reasonably affluent area, the water, man. But then again, it was deep inside the loop in Houston. I'm sitting there going, how come the water tastes and smells so bad here? We are literally walking distance from one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in all of Texas. It was a 5-minute walk out my front door. And yet the water sucked. It's like, what? How does that even work? Oh. That made it a good area to live in, though. You know, because they had all that private security all the time. So that whole neighborhood was gated. It had a wall around it, like a 10-foot wall. But then all the private security coming in and out. Plus HPD ran extra patrols all around because of it. Just had to drop off 5 minutes. I'm going to miss any kapow. No, we didn't miss any kapows. We good, man. You good? You didn't miss anything? No, we did not miss anything at all. I measured mine with a TDS meter and it was filled with tons of crap. What all was in it, man? I can see that in Ohio, though. I guess it really depends on where you live. It's all relative to where you live, guys. Give me a minute. I got to make it. So this is a little slow. I'm going to take advantage and do a couple of Facebook posts. I got 3 active extra bonuses running that I have the potential to get all 3 of them. All right. That's the first time that's happened. Not like they're huge sums of money, but still, I'm funny like that. I hate leaving money off the table on my social media. They're like, if you hit this goal, we'll give you an extra $44 at the end of the month. If you hit this one, we'll give you an extra $25 this week. Like, really? I need to hit all these. Then one of them was a silly little, like $10 one or something insignificant. But we'll try to get all of them. I know I'm silly. I swear, man, social media is like playing a video game when you're trying to make all your money. Right? Not sure if you've ever visited Scotland when you live in the UK. The tap water tends to be nice up there. I don't know. I filter my water just because it tastes better. Well, I add flavoring. And then I run some of it through coffee grounds. That changes the flavor too. Keep in mind, a massive chunk of my water every day is my coffee. I drink a whole coffee pot in the morning. That is actually for most people. That full coffee pot for most people is like your baseline water. So just kind of sip water through the afternoon. Tap water in Finland is great, but it doesn't taste as good as filtered water. Okay, fair enough, man. Fair enough. I'm not judging. We're not judging. Hmm. Right. Hmm. Wonder why we're slow. We had really good views the last couple of days. You're going a little slow now on these. Again, I wonder if it's the time slot. You get bottled water. No, neither. David, I don't do either one. I do none of the above. I just drink tap water. I just add flavoring to it. So I usually buy empty jugs or full jugs of water, and then I'll add flavoring. But once it's done, I just refill it from the tap till I get tired of using that bottle, and then because I don't want to wash it out, so I just add the stuff, keep it in the fridge, and just pour it into glasses. So I always add my flavoring. Do that a few times and go to a new jug. So technically, some of it is like every 8th or 10th time is a fresh gallon jug of bottled water, but then I just do tap water in there and just add stuff to it. Pretty much what I do. Right. So how about you guys? What do you guys do with your water? I filter the water from my coffee sometimes. In UK, the tap water smells of chlorine as it comes out of the tap. Okay. I put creatine in my water. There you go. But you're aware, Raymond, it will break down. Just an FYI. If you leave the creatine in there too long, it will break it down. Actually, in case you didn't know that. So if you're like putting creatine in there and leaving it overnight in the fridge or something, it's not a long term. We regularly get a boil alert for our water, so it's mostly we use reverse osmosis. Yeah. Well, in that case, I can see it. I can absolutely see that. But by and large, the water's been pretty good in this area, this neighborhood. Yeah, I had to filter. I filtered all the water. I did a lot of bottled water when I lived in that other place. But I mean, I always have some bottled water for prepping. I mean, I'm always going to have like 100 bottles of water stored away just in case. You know, right? You never know. All that toilet paper stocking I'd done for a while as a prepper came in handy when there was no toilet paper. And in Michigan, so we're going to have to avoid Flint. Yeah, the water up in Michigan, a lot of those areas near Detroit, it's pretty rough. I have heard no one drinks the water. Everybody, no, we don't drink any of the water. Yeah, incredible. In the UK, most water companies are foreign owned. I did not know that. I did not know that, David. Yeah, we threw a name in here. I'm surprised this stream is only getting so few views. I'm gonna have to drop some different names in those titles. Right? Facebook is big for Joey Soul. He's not that big on YouTube, so that could be why. It's its own little niche world here. You know, like the lives have been really hit or miss lately. Some of them have really just blow up and pop off, tons of views, tons of supers, views, everything. Others are just really slow. Like this morning one was just like, it's like, wow, I don't know, man. And it's the lack of views. So I don't know what's going on, but you guys, did everyone got notifications, right? Everyone in here got one. Peppermint said he got one. I think Lars got one. I took a screenshot of that one guy this morning too, man. One of the red pill dudes. Like, why do these red pill guys get so upset when you make fun of the red pill thing? It's ridiculous. You know, so the guy got upset and then he went off and he turned out to just be a troll. But he went out, he's following the whole red pill dogma. But the dude literally writing, well, I want a feminine woman, blah, blah, blah. He was talking about passport bros exist for a reason. And he's like, and he ended it with, who puts out whatever I wanted. Every time he wants it, she just gives him something. It's like he wrote that. It's like, all right, guys. Any of you dudes in happy relationships and marriages are kind of like, yeah, bro, this is now how you work in this. That's not going to be how it works, number one. Number two, If you're making a woman feel safe, her sex drive goes up. Like if you're taking care of your business as a man in a relationship, your woman is going to have a higher sex drive automatically. This is something a lot of guys haven't figured out. Women try to tell you all this stuff. They try to tell people this, and dudes are not listening, right? Show of hands, you guys know this. This is understood. When women feel safe with their man, that makes them feel safe, physically safe, emotionally safe, like you're handling your stuff as a man, their sex drive goes up. They actually want sex more often. See kind of where we're going with this. Right? And there's nervous system stuff related to this. Like we understand the chemistry of why it happens too. It's not like some crazy theory, you know? And then the dude later, I got a screenshot. I'm gonna put it up later on Facebook. It's funny. Then the guy started talking. Well, they got these Asian bots that are going to come out that you could barely tell them apart from a real woman. And he was all excited about it. And it's like, dudes like this wonder why they don't get a girl. This conversation that we have to have about being a man. This is why we have to have this conversation about healthy masculinity to men. If you are willing to accept a sex doll as a replacement for a real woman because it feels like the real thing, we need to have a serious talk about your view of manhood and masculinity at that point, guys. That's an acceptable substitute for you for a real woman. Bros. You know, that's an acceptable substitute for you. Bros are losing the way, man. They're losing the way. Because what about all the other aspects? If you're down to the point to where, and that's exactly, she's kissing whenever he wants. Like if you're at a point where to you a woman is nothing more, and there's billions of women. If a woman is nothing more but well, they're definitely going to be a thing, David. We know they are. But the thing is, step back and think about this. If as a man, you see your woman as a life support system for a vagina, do you think that's a healthy, strong, masculine man? Because we come back over to what's a man, guys. People always joke that they're like, your approach is really based. They always say that. Younger dudes use that term all the time. A man is a protector, provider, mentor. These are traditional male roles. Okay? A real man loves women. A real man loves his community. Why is he protecting that around him if he doesn't love it? Man loves his tribe around him. If we're going to use terms like alpha male or real male or all these things, that is what you're talking about. You know? But if we're over to the point to where It's purely a sex transaction. You don't love your woman. You don't love your wife. You don't love your girlfriend. You know what I mean, guys? David says, with the development of AI, could a sex robot eventually be considered a sentient being? Because it's sentient doesn't make it a woman, David? So I'm going to ask you the question too. So for the guys who say that maybe, I want to ask you the simple question. I mean, look at the title of this. So is a dude who has a sex change into a woman, is that an acceptable substitute for a woman? I mean, he's sentient. He has feelings. He's got a vagina. Got a hole. That's less of a jump than to go to the robot. Way less of a jump. Or does a man want a real woman? I'm just simply posing the question, right? I'm posing the question, right? You have a robot over a trans, but neither one of those is but why? Maybe Blair White after a couple drinks. And Blair White's pretty passable, but at the end of the day, Blair White's still got a hang down, bro. Just saying, you know, just pointing that out. So, and here's the argument I would make with some of this. When we talk about masculine and feminine, the balance of these things, right? Talk about the balance of these things. There's a spiritual and an energetic side to these things, with things like masculine, with feminine, and there's a balance here, right? This is part of the human experience, right? This is part of the human experience. We have men and women for a reason, and yes, there's a difference. There's a difference spiritually. There's a difference energetically, right? As men, we do need that female soul, that female energy to balance us, right? To bring balance to our lives, to bring balance to our experience. Okay. It's an essential part of the human experience, and a strong masculine man represents a certain thing in our experience energetically. And if you're going to balance that out, right, the energy of a feminine woman will balance that. A transformer can't do that. That sex robot can't do that because it doesn't have that feminine. I think it is, Connor. I think that the balance is a good thing, especially if you really want a complete life in the grand scheme of things, the true experience of the human experience. No, I think that a man needs that. I think a king needs a queen ultimately. And I think that as a strong man, you do need a feminine woman to bring balance into your life, to make everything whole. I know I'm getting a little spiritual with this, but my argument with it would be that fundamentally, these other replacements cannot replace that. A dude who's gone through hormone therapy and gone through a bottom surgery can't replace that energy. That sex robot can't replace that same energy. And at that point, we are reducing it down to a whole. We really are ultimately. People are going to have robot kids too, right? And here's what I would argue, Chud Incel. I would say that is a perversion of the human and the family experience. From your perspective, would balance amplify one's strengths? I think it does. I think it's a matter of completeness. I think it's a matter of completeness. Granted, I'm being philosophical with this, of course. Coach, thoughts on ordering a robot like that for this trip? I don't need a robot like that. I would rather have a real flesh and blood feminine woman than some robot. Right? It's not a replacement. My perspective. Maybe call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that a dude who's had a surgery can replace that role, and I don't think a robot can replace that role. Right? Right. It's why I asked this epistemological question to find the foundation of the philosophy behind what you consider balance. As it's a sound foundation, I agree. Yeah, I would argue a lot of philosophies have discussed this. This dates all the way back to everything from Christian philosophy, even to Eastern philosophies. There's a lot of agreement here. And I'll give you the examples. You'll see some of the esoteric side will talk about twin flames, two halves of the same soul. When a man and a woman meet their true partner, right? It's a completion of the soul. We come back over to the story of Adam and Eve and the rib. Okay, so we could take this same philosophy. Sure, there's Eastern religions and stuff that address it, but how about Christianity itself even addresses this? That's what's represented with the creation story with Adam and Eve, is it not? That Eve was fashioned from Adam's rib to be his partner, to complete him. Coming from the same being. But ultimately, that's where you get the two sides of the genetic code. We can make an argument for genetics there. We can make an argument for, a soulmate there. But this is represented even in Christian religion. Okay, even there, it's represented with the story of Adam and Eve. It's represented even with Christ and the Apostle Paul's teachings, talking about when a man marries his woman and is recognized by God, his wife, that they become one flesh in the eyes of God. We're back to that story with the rib with Adam. It's still deeply rooted into Christianity as taught by Christ and taught by the Apostle Paul. Right? So we can make the case for it even the religions recognize it, including Christianity, including the teachings of Jesus. All recognize this. Right. So Brahm says, I started taking a high dose of Tren. Now I have no libido. How long will my prolactin lower if I take? So, oh man. Brahm, how much Tren tests are you taking, dude? I don't normally do these for normally this is consultation level. You pay me in a private call. Let's just see if we can help you real quick for free. How much test and Tren are you taking and how many weeks in are you? Um, I heard in Islamic epistemology, because Eve was created with a rib, that woman also needs to be treated with kindness because when you bend a rib, it cracks. Interesting. David, I was listening to Elon Musk on Joe Rogan. He thinks there will be a universal basic income for humans and robots take our jobs. Man, that's going to be a ways off, right? I don't know how any of that's going to work. I don't know how any of that is going to work, David. I'm not sure. Okay, Brom says, hey man, I took 300 milligrams of tren on day one. You took 300 milligrams of trinacetate on day one. Bro! Woo! Bro! Dude! 250 on day two, 250 on day three. Now my PP doesn't work. You telling me in half of a week? Half a week you took 800 milligrams in the first. Oh man. No, I know you're being legit. All right, the heaviest dose I've ever seen anyone personally take that I knew in real life was 200 milligrams a day, and he's dead now, by the way. Let me state that again. I know one person who took 200 milligrams a day going into a bodybuilding show, friend of mine. He's dead now. Just for the record, he's dead. He died a few years ago. He had some serious size on 200. All right, 300, dude. You got to come off the train, then. Like, how much experience do you have with tren? That's a lot. So a normal starting dose is like 50 milligrams from a shot. A lot of dudes will do 50 milligrams every other day to test the waters. And it'll be about 150 a week. It's your first time using tren. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, dude, taper it back down. Do you have any Cabergo line or any anti-prolactins? Caber, Dostanex, something like that. You can get your prolactin and stuff back down. Here's the next joke. But 55 will come Friday. Okay. Yeah, you probably need to get your prolactin back under control. Oh, man. Oh, Commander, we talking about me? Right. How are we rating the veins today, guys? Oh my God. Hey, those haters are gonna hate, man. I'm about to turn 49. I turned 49 in 4 weeks. I'm an old dude. So, yeah, dude, come off the train with what you did. That was excessive. Get on your anti-prolactin, get back on just your testosterone, and get your prolactin down. That's rough. But yeah, come off the train. I'm not a big fan because of the side effects. Like, I don't generally advocate for tren. I mean, not saying I don't have an occasional client who does it. Once the prolactin goes down, you'll probably be good within a few days. That's a lot of tren, dude. Like, realistically, man, you start exceeding 200 milligrams a week of real tren, if it's real, you're going to get some pretty serious sides potentially. So to put in context for you, I use a replacement dose of testosterone these days. That's my whole stack. I am just on TRT from my doctor right now. And I mean, I'm open about the fact that I use testo. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, so if you come off, tren acetate has a short half-life. Fortunately for you, you said you use the short ester. Oh God, Jeremy, you trolling me, man? I don't need to know all that. Connor is calling for your pal. Jeremy is a regular. Jeremy's a regular. Jeremy, he's got an old channel too. He's been around a while. Yep. See all these regulars calling you for your pal, Jeremy? That's the rules, man. Members have all voted you off. Hey, Jeremy, I normally like you, but you went there into my personal life. And look how many members just voted you off. These are paying channel members who have vote powers. I'm going to count them. Connor, David, Defiant, Peppermint. These are 4 paying channel members who voted you off, dude. Because you had to jump into my personal stuff, man. So, more capals from channel members, which have tie-breaking powers. 0 have said to stay. Them's the rules, Jeremy. Even I've been compelled and had to close my own stream before. No, I didn't want to know, man. But Jeremy, here's the point. The paying channel members just voted you off. So you have been judged and found guilty by a jury of your peers. We run a democracy in this live stream. Clients and channel members get to vote people off. You have been found guilty by a jury of your peers. The sentence is death. A little bit of shake. And bake. Kapow, you're out of here. It was unfortunate. I actually did like him as a poster, but I don't know why he had to go there and bring that up. All right. F out the way. He thought it was a good. I did too, Peppermint, but man, them's the rules. Their Commander should definitely scrum 48 useless trying to give him up. Commander 48, man, get back into it, brother. There is no time like today. Yes, Swamp, but we don't allow that sort of perversion in here, man. What are you doing? Channel members. David is called for a kapow. And I'll get back to you in a minute, by the way, Brom, on your problem as far as time frames. 3 kapows, right? Swamp butt. Get you out of here. You're going to be smote with the holy damage from my holy gavel of justice. Booyakasha. All right. Where were we with the other discussion of well, we were briefly talking about the concept of completion of the soul in terms of a man and a wife, right? Which is relevant to this conversation if we're having talks of trans stuff. We're having talks about sex robots, right? You know, if we're having this conversation, if you believe in things like this, so if you're a Christian, you will have to believe in these things because this is the teachings of Jesus Christ. These are the teachings of the Apostle Paul. You know, they make this stuff very clear, right? That, you know, So Brom, and I'm not judging homosexuality. That's not what this is about. This is talking about what God intended and wanted for people, right? What he wanted for a man, right? And he wanted you to have a wife to cleave to you to be your other half, right? This is biblical. Now, am I telling you that I'm not hating on gay people when I say that either, right? Not what this is about. But essentially, what we are saying is that these other things cannot replace a woman, right? And if we're taking a woman to the case of basically being a life support system for a whole, which is what you're talking about with the sex robots, do you see where we're going with this? That's not what God wanted for you. And I would argue, even setting aside the religious, if you talk about the energetic thing, that's not going to bring the same balance to your life that a real woman does. Right? And I think that most men, your life would be happier and more complete if you do find a good woman. Right? So Brom says, I can't change my sexuality though I'm in the cause because my parents are understandable. Brom, I know someone else in that same situation. I do know someone like that. And I feel bad for him. And in his case, because of his situation with his parents, they don't know. He's never had a girlfriend, never been married. And it just gets left alone. Right. And here's the thing. And that happens. But that's where you have to make your own decisions with what to do with that. Now, in the case of this family member, I'm not going to say which side of my family. It was all a bunch of the cousins. It was one of my cousins. We sat down and we all had to talk about it. Right. And what we agreed on is that we were going to leave it alone. We were like, dude, he's gay. We all know. Like 4 of the cousins, we sat down like, he's gay. Like, what are we going to do when grandma figures it out? Grandma's clueless. She doesn't know. So we all agreed that we would just leave it alone. He was choosing to stay in the closet. We all pretty much figured out he was gay. We all knew. We left it alone. And we had a private conversation that we were just going to let him stay in the closet. If he wanted to talk to anybody about it, we were there for him. And we just left it. His parents never discussed it, never figured it out. They're very religious. We left it. We left it alone. And it's all good. So it's a case of, and that's a tough situation to be in. And I don't have the answer for you. I don't have the answer for you there in terms of your sexuality. I don't have the answer for you there. Right? This is not my area of expertise to help people with. But I would also ask, are you religious? Do you believe in God? Pray. Yeah, so that's a good question too. You got to think through your own beliefs and do your own praying and your own soul searching. With those things. But that doesn't change the other thing that we were talking about. That someone who's gone through these surgeries and hormone therapy is not going to be the same replacement for that. And a sex robot is definitely not going to be a replacement. Because essentially what we are doing is we are then taking at this point, what is the soul and spirit and energy of a woman and taking it to a life support system for a whole. Right? And ultimately, that's the other point that I was making with that conversation, guys. I'm more spiritual. I believe in astrology. Okay. You know, Mercury's in Gatorade or something right now. Mercury's in reverse cowgirl or something. All right. I'm not an astrologer. I like to poke some fun at astrology because I've had some exes who were super into astrology, like super into it. Say, man, you got to watch those astrology girls, guys. Astrology girls will be like, right? Mercury's a Gatorade. The astrology girls will be like, when they burn your clothes out in the front yard. Well, you knew I was a Gemini when you got with me, and Mercury's in Gatorade right now. So therefore, I'm not responsible that I got mad and burned your clothes in the front yard, right? Mercury's in reverse cowgirl or something. I don't know, man. Red flag. All right. Mercury's in Gatorade. It's getting them electrolytes. Oh, man. Lord. I think I misheard you, but I heard Mercury's in Gatorade. Yeah, that is what I said. I said Mercury's in Gatorade, man. It's getting them electrolytes, turbo lights, power lights. I avoid astrology girls like to play. Hey, man, I've been with some dude. They get cray on you, man. They'll blame their bad behavior on the alignment of the planets. You know, right? Oh man, and that Mercury's in Gatorade. All sorts of crazy stuff happens. I think it's a dehydration thing, man. You know, especially when Shark Week is there and their whole water balance is really thrown off, and Mercury's in Gatorade. Crazy stuff can happen, right? I think it has to do with the fluid balance in the brain. A lot of stuff going on. Oh, Coach, do you think you'll deep dive into the Charlie Kirk shooting at some point? Be interesting to use given your firm. I've discussed a little. I am very concerned, as you already know. I'm very concerned with the concept that a 30-06 hunting around at 200 yards was stopped by a human neck. Brian, yeah, so Facebook is where you contact me for consultations and for coaching. So yes, absolutely. So let me link my Facebook fitness page. It needs to be the page, not the profile. The profile will go to a spam folder. So if you need to reach out, if you need consultations, coaching, that's the place to reach me. Man, this has been a slow stream. I'm really shocked, especially with a name in it. Low views and no supers. Oh, well, it happens, man. It happens. We deal with it. Life goes on. Just think the views are super low, though. I'm looking at the views right now. It's weird. Oh, well. Still got to get all my other stuff but Facebook's doing good today. I guess it all balances out, man. It seems like when I have a great Facebook day, I get a weak YouTube day, and vice versa. Just the way the cookie crumbles, right? The way the cookie crumbles. Part of me thinks I should stay in longer just in case. What do you guys think? I don't know. Just these views in the streams today have been just excessively low. Another 30 minutes. We should give it another 30. We want to take it to the 2-hour drill. I guess we can do that. I guess we can do that. But we picked up no new channel members today, no supers. So it's just like, really? And it would be cool if I got thousands of views on them today. Or not. That morning one only got 300 views. That's like very low. But those seem to go hand in hand, don't they? It seems like if the topic hits a bunch of views, all that rolls in. I don't know. I suppose we'll see. Yeah, we'll give it another 30. Then I got to eat some more food, though. This is also during my feed window in the afternoon during these. So I had most of my rice and stuff, but I need to get some cantaloupe and maybe some Greek yogurt. I'm running out of frozen cherries. The topic may dissuade some. Do you think so? Man, yeah, because it's doing worse than a non-standard topic. You know, that's the thing. Right? That's the thing. I wonder if it will let me change this topic. Let me see. I wonder if it will change midstream. I've never tried. Did it change? I think it changed. Let me change it. I changed it on this point. Yeah, it changed it. It also is letting me insert the video now. Well, that's interesting. Change it to Larry Wheels fraud. Oh, now let's do that. That's a good one. Bam. Updated my subscriptions also. Let's see what happens with that. See if we get a bunch of people in. Man, you guys are onto something. So for those chiming in, apparently people are saying Larry Wheels is going to court. Right? Larry Wheels is going to court over a fraudulent business set up where he promised someone 3% of a company and didn't pay out. I will do further investigations, but I think people who care about it will start rolling in. I think they're going to start rolling in. I, on the other hand, I'm going to go get some water. All right. All right, we back, guys. How are the quads today? Yeah, we got Bag Push back there. Bag Push being straight gangster. Oh, man. Hold up. Bag Push not strapped. Bag Push isn't gangster enough right now, is he? Let me help him out. Bag Push. There we go. All right. Now Bag Push is looking more gangster. That's that FDE. You got to have them earth tones like that. Right. Oh, looks like Brian messaged on the Facebook. Cool. All right, back over to the stream, back push, back there packing. See what that does, if that makes any changes, though, all that, the title. It might. There we go. Thus far, the views are staying the same. But let's get some other topics, guys. We got you guys in here. A bunch of the regulars are in. We compiled a bunch of people. Let's get some conversation. Let's get some other topics going. What do you guys want to chat about? Training was good, obviously. You know, the deadlift grip was given out. But again, I wonder if that's a combination of grip or me hitting that bench PR first. That rep PR took a lot out of me, man. Definitely that 19. I'm going to get to 20. All right. What's interesting, though, is that 20 rep has gone up, but the 315 has not. It's like I want to get to that fifth rep. You know, I want the 315 for 5 pause reps. And I'm almost at 20 with the 225, you know. We'll get there. All right, we'll get there. Got to keep putting in the work. Expect the weighted carries will still holding back. They might, but man, I like doing them. I need the GPP though. I feel that I need it, right? Because that felt like all grip. Like my posterior chain felt good. Like I felt like the weight was moving good on the bar speed. You know, it's not like my hamstrings were just dying or my quads or anything. Like everything was moving. It was just in my hands. It felt heavy, like it was starting to slip. And I felt it almost on the first rep. So do you notice that little bit of shift in the bar path at the top on the first rep? It felt a little loose in the hands up there. Like I was losing my confidence with it in terms of the grip on it. You know. But then we went for that second rep from my mind was like, I'll just squeeze it harder and pull, right? Like we're good. You're benching 360. How many reps could you do with 315? The most I hit was 8. But there was some touch and go in there, right? It was a different grip. But I've done 350 earlier this year. I did 350 with no wrist wraps or belt for a 2-second earlier this year. So, I mean, I'm really not far from that 315 again, right? But I'm a little more chest dominant because I grip it wider, you know, doing the wider grip, doing that wider grip. So yeah, I mean, it's a big jump. You're hitting these 3 times a week. Yeah, we're doing them 3 times a week. But it's my real chest work. You know, I'm mostly just now going to bench. I want to just bench for just a bit, you know, as far as my main pressing. And I'll overhead press and stuff. So that'll get the delts and triceps. But I feel like 3 really hard sets of, or 6 sets of bench every week, I think will continue to grow my chest and stuff. Especially as how hard I'm going on now. You know, we're doing an AMRAP on 315 followed by an AMRAP at 225. Doing it 3 times a week, you know, a lot of chest work. Plus the overhead press and chins and stuff are going to give some secondary. Yeah. A lot of us have always said you can get big on those volumes, right? And then all of a sudden nipper, oh, I did a 6 set per muscle group and gained muscle on a cut. And it's like, when these evidence-based guys are saying that, did we understand how big of a problem that is for their position previous? Do we understand how big of a philosophical problem that is when they're buying into that ultra volume circle in the scientific community, which is only a circle, that's one group. That's a great conflict in the literature. When he's like, oh yeah, I'm in a deficit and I still made some progress on only 6 sets, is an extremely advanced lifter. That entire message of him saying that throws a wrench in all of their work, you know? We do. Do you guys understand this, right? If you look at the whole philosophy Nippert and his whole circle have put forward and proposed, him even saying that it worked is a problem. Because he is in anecdotally saying, even in a calorie deficit with no surplus, I, as an extremely advanced lifter, made progress on 6 sets a week, 6 really hard sets per muscle group. Do we understand the ramifications of that message? Think through the ramifications of that. That derails their entire message. Because that's the whole point with everyone. Everyone thinks they need all these extreme volumes because they're stalling there by not making any gains. Right? I mean, Jeff's a super advanced lifter. He's got like a 365, 375 bench. He squatted like almost 500 pounds. Do we understand how difficult it is to make gains from there? But if he's able to do it on 6 sets, why did the views drop to nothing? You guys in here? What happened? That's really weird. You guys are here, you're here, the views are going up. It dropped down to showing 2 views. I have no idea what happened. It reset something. What are you guys seeing the views at? Maybe the title change did something. Maybe it kicked in. It's triggered. It's shooting back up there. Right, maybe. But it shouldn't have dropped to nothing. It dropped down to 2 people. Maybe it kicked everybody out of the stream and then back in. But again, hopefully you guys understand what we mean though with that. Okay, cool. 8 viewers. It's just going back up. It was at 2. So they didn't cut you guys out, did it? But I had 2 and you 2 were still in here. So that's weird. This is the lowest I've seen. Maybe that title change did it. All right. Well, maybe it'll kick into feeds now. But yeah, very strange. That it's been really wonky in this live today. Right? Something it didn't like. Or just the algo's acting up. But we had other issues with the community tab too. So the whole system's catawampus. Right? It says it's fully monetized. It's not finding any problems or anything like that. Very strange. I was always here for some reason. So Jeff is not Maddie as well. No, I don't think that he is. Okay, so you were always here too. So that was three people confirmed members with only 2 viewers showing. So the whole thing is reset in some weird way. All right. I mean, why would we assume any of these guys are natty David? But you see the point. I don't think Jeff is natty too much money potentially for him, right? Plus all the support for fake natties. And it's like, come on, guys. But I never had problems getting big on lower volumes. Like, that's the thing that puzzled me with that. I mean, when I was at that big point, I was only doing full body 3 days a week. I was only doing about 4 or 5 exercises tops per workout at the gym and then going home. Like it was normal for me to come in and do stuff like a deadlift closed grip bench or an incline bench, weighted pull-ups, some overhead pressing, and then maybe some hammer curls or something and go home. And I was easily just as big, probably at my biggest. And I trained like that at that time too. I did a lot more volume when I was in the UK. But so when I did that, some of that minimalism, I was big and strong. I've checked some of the old footage just to double check, and I'm like, dudes, I was thick. I was real thick, doing rep work with 205 on the overhead press, doing rep work with 520 on the deadlift or like work sets, you know. I was incline repping, like I was doing close grip incline for like 255 for 3 or 4 rep sets all the time on I saw and found the old workouts uploaded. I think that was normal, you know. So yeah. And my volumes were probably less than 10 sets a week per muscle. Would you recommend Bulgarian? Probably not. That was the most difficult stint I did. Bulgarian was tough. The Bulgarian light. And I've been stronger later than I was on Bulgarian light. Let's be clear. I didn't even hit my best lifts on camera. Every single lift that I hit during the Bulgarian light, I have exceeded later on other training. Right? I agree with Coach. It's unlikely that anyone on YouTube is natty, right? Very unlikely. Why would there be? They have no incentive. They have no reason. In fact, it's a bad business model for them to be. Every reason in the world not to be. Now the views are going up, ticking up slowly. Something reset. I think it had to do with that name change earlier. Yeah, it's distributing into different feeds. Okay, so maybe these views will shoot on up now. But no, I mean, there's no reason for anyone to be natty. It's all channel members posting. There's just a sea of green. It's hilarious. Literally pages of nothing but channel members. Oh, Lord. But that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. You know, that's the true fans. We've got the true fans in here. People don't want to hear about the heroes. People didn't like what I had to say with that one guy got really upset. You guys recall those conversations. And it's like, people idolize these people online, man. And they don't see the persona versus the reality. And it really is when someone has taken the persona that is projected as either the good or the bad, is the reality is very strange. You know, it's a lack of critical thinking skills, really. So if a person loved Rich Piana for the entertainment and couldn't see the real person behind it, in spite of all the stuff right there in your face. But that's the thing, like dudes got mad that I described him as a Pablo Escobar, but everybody knew it. Right, guys? We all knew it. I had conversations with dudes in gyms about it, with competitive bodybuilders, like real face-to-face conversations, sit down, chats. Because keep in mind, I trained and went through all the hardcore gyms and stuff and was known in those circles here. So these were conversations I had with NPC and IFBB people. So people knew. And the same thing, there were other people who've come into some of the streaming videos. Yeah, we all knew over here too, in this other whatever place. So everyone kind of knew. It was just unspoken because people weren't going to make YouTube. Like realistically, all the YouTubers weren't going to go make videos while Piana was alive and running business saying, yeah, dude, he's a major steroid distributor. No one was going to get up and say that. You don't do that. Right? You got to have some common sense, guys. Because, let's assume everyone who knew that is in the gym world. everyone's in the gym world. You're hanging around a bunch of other hardcore lifters and you're over here outing a plug in public. Anybody think that's a real smart idea? No. So this is where we come into knowing the history, David. So David, okay, what was the publicly available history on that? Influencers or YouTubers are putting out a product, playing a role, even if they're 100% authentic, you're still seeing a very narrow part of their life, and that's what they want you to see exactly. Well, I keep my life off here at this point. So David, let's set aside speculation and only go off of what we know from people in his life. Okay. So I'm going to assume you haven't done the digging. You haven't been down the rabbit hole. What did his first wife say they were? The one who took his biggest share of 55% nutrition. What did she publicly say about his arms and shoulders? In detail. She talked about this in detail. I'll tell you what she said. I'll paraphrase. She drove him to Mexico dozens of times for CMMA collagen injections and implants. She drove him while they were married across the border down to the doctors in Mexico dozens of times to get PMMA, which is collagen, right? Injected all under his skin, and the shoulders, the biceps, the triceps, all of that stuff is collagen. Yes, it's literally, so the ass shots you think of, those collagen butt shots, right? That a lot of Brazilian girls and stuff were getting, right? It's a cosmetic procedure. He had dozens and dozens of them done. He probably had about 3 or 4 inches of collagen to his arm diameter. So his shoulders, his biceps, triceps were full. It had tons of, but they weren't inside, they were under the skin. Okay. So it's collagen implants directed through stuff. So a Brazilian butt lift is a fat transplant though. So this is a little bit older of a technology because this was done like 20 years ago, right? So according to Jane, they were PMMA injections done in Mexico specifically because she drove him to the procedures for years. She personally drove him there at home. So the question is, do you believe her? She was very public about this. Right? Does it match what we see? So we could look at this. So you could look at that situation and look at the way that his arms move. And does this sound like a reasonable explanation given the way that he looked? And I think, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Okay. Now, a lot of the stuff was sealed, but apparently she did bring up all the domestic violence, and that's one reason she drug him across the coals in divorce court. I think stomach vacuums have their place, David, actually, to be fair. I think they have their place. I mean, Rich Piana, as far as bodybuilding goes, before he went into all the crazy stuff, he was a pretty good bodybuilder. You know, all things considered. So let's set aside the hype. Let's set aside all the fake muscle added. Piana was a reasonably successful competitive bodybuilder with a good physique before he went into all that. Right? Hand holding. How you doing, hand holding? We're good, man. So, it's not to say that all of Piana's info was wrong from all that. he was a successful bodybuilder with a good physique early on. Okay, and I think that's a fair statement. Pretty good, man. I'm doing okay, dude. I've been a little slow in the streams today, but it's all good. Making it all work. I got some shorts to put up though after this. But yeah, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. Yeah, Rich Piano was a beast. So let's be fair to say a lot of his early advice for training and nutrition was wrong. Was no, I mean he got results. Piano was a beast before all that fake muscle was added. He was a big strong dude, right? Realistically, with a good physique. I mean objectively. Um, so but he was very much a bro. He was a chicken and rice bro. Piano really was like that, man. Just don't eat any fat. Chicken and rice if you want to get shredded. So he was very bro school. Um, but that's what I meant. It's like, so people have all these things and when they haven't looked into all that. We saw the winner on Chris Aceto out with insulin and fasted cardio and went, F that, I'm out. Yeah. Play the nutty anthem sometimes. So that was the whole point, and I get it. Like, I'm not trying to slander anybody. That's one reason I didn't make the videos on that. It comes up in the live streams. But it's the case of, it's just not haters slandering someone. It's different because I had someone say, well, how could you say those things when people have made horrible lies up about you? I'm like, because these are people who don't know me making up horrible lies. Okay. These are not people getting up under their real name having these discussions. That's the difference. And I think that's a little different. Hey, Jason, wasn't Jeff and real butt buddies with A Clown, Destiny? Both of them are real fake. They are definitely fake natties. We know they're fake natties, Roland. I wasn't Jeff. Jeff Nippard. I don't know if he's butt buddies with him, dude. I mean, he did that one collab with Strap On. He did that one with Strap On. Of course, apparently Jeff has got some pretty far left politics. I found out too. I didn't know about that. And I'm not going to relay rumors I've heard, because it's one thing when Jeff and I aren't having beef. It's one thing if I hear rumors and it's someone who's beefing with. Jeff and I aren't having beef. So I'm not going to repeat things I've heard. Unsubstantiated rumors about him and his girl. Right? That's probably a little out of bounds because, again, unsubstantiated rumors, that's slanderable type stuff. So I'm going to leave that alone, because rumors are just rumors. So, man, it's got to have limits. Give you a clue. Well, given far left politics, some far left politics, and having a fairly aggressive, dominant girlfriend, and I'll leave it there. And I don't want to say more because I'm really not trying to stir that stuff up. I'm going to simply move on. Let's move on from that. I don't need a slander type situation. No, I think she's definitely a girl. I think she's fairly attractive. Yes, I didn't say she was hot, but she's fairly attractive. Are they still together? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't keep up with this stuff. Anybody know? Let's see if they're together. Stephanie Livermore. Well, it looks like they're still together. Yes, she's got him pinned together with him in a picture 6 years ago. Oh, they're engaged. They got engaged. Okay, so he put a ring on it. All right. Nippert has like 7.8 million subs. Wow, that's a lot. Right? He's got to be banking. But back to that point about Fate Natty, he has all the reason in the world to Fate Natty. But that's the other thing, man, his recent stuff admitting the 6 sets. Do we understand how much that undermines their particular evidence-based circle? For him to get in and do 6 sets and still make gains on a cut. Right? Oh, man. Right? And as you guys were saying with heavy duty, I mean, Dorian made gains. And I mean, but the problem is, with this stuff, I've watched it all myself because look at my generation. The heavy duty type training was a big deal when I first got into lifting, and dudes were big and strong. Right? Probably the biggest fitness YouTuber. I mean, he's up there now. But after that tail end of the Dorian era, I knew dudes who trained like that, who had phenomenal physiques. I swear we need to just put vegan gains in the spam filter. I don't care about vegan gains anymore. Is he even a fitness personality at this point? All right, don't care. But I don't like the Menzer end of it. No, we don't need to compare him just for mentioning vegan gains. But, we'll see what he says. But let's move on. Nobody cares. Next topic. We'll see if he continues to push the matter before you guys vote him out for a ban. It's the issue of Menzer's philosophies he was pushing later were problematic, but his philosophies when he was competing was a bit different. But the same with Dorian. Dorian was a monster. Dorian was a monster. I know that when I've done much lower volumes, hard training, my gains were just as good, if not better, than when I did 20 sets. And I've watched guys do low volumes who have just phenomenal physiques. If you step away from the show and fed circle, you have whole studies showing massive gains, even on 5-6 sets a week, by trained lifters, advanced lifters sometimes. So, we have to question a lot of this volume stuff. But I mean, and this is something I've made videos on this before, and I've said this numerous times. When I was coming up at the golds, one of the 2 golds I used to train at, the guy who had the best physique there was like a 40-year-old dude. He worked out 3 days a week for an hour. Right? Getting into calisthenics, no. How about I just keep doing all my weighted body weight movements, though, in my other running and GPP? Do you not know anything about my training, JC? Hey, JC, I don't think you know anything about what I actually do. You've never seen me do 5K or run 5 miles on camera already? You don't see me sprint with the sled all the time? You don't see me get my sled out and sprint with the sled down the street all the time on camera. You'll see all my weighted chin ups, all that stuff. So you don't know anything about what I actually do. And that's a fair assessment of what you wrote. You've never seen me run 5 miles on camera live. Why not give up lifting and start parkour? Right. But all good, man. So, yeah. I'm big on conditioning work. Yeah, Patty. Well, I am a strength athlete, but I believe in being a hybrid athlete. Like I'm into running. I'm into conditioning. You know, I'm into these things. I like them, and I think everybody should run it. But here's my thing, JC. I think everybody should do the big barbell lifts, and I think they should run. If you just want to be fit, I think you should do it. I'm very pro running, by the way. You'll notice. I mean, you might not have known that, and that's okay. I haven't been running as much lately. I've been really scaled back. I'm trying to focus on other stuff, but I'll pick it back up. I think once we get into spring, I'm going to run back into some more 5K stuff again. But I'm keeping the conditioning up with the sled sprints. I pushed my sled down the street, did a full sprint. You know, but yeah. But I agree, Connor, it's got to be 5 to 6 sets that are no sandbagging. So like my bench press sets, like as you're seeing in my chin up sets, I think that counts. Yeah. Right. Like when I'm shaking on that last rep on the bench, that's what we mean though, right? Do that 3 times a week, do a 315 all the way to a grindy rep and then 225 as a back down again. And you keep trying to PR it. Do that 3 times a week. That's 6 hard sets. Would you say low volume is impractical? Some people most don't. Yeah, if they don't train, that's the issue is if they don't train hard enough, it's not going to work. Because you could take all that other volume they're doing and just go do conditioning work. I would much rather see people instead of doing the hours of volume they're doing, if they can do that lower volume and push those sets to that bleeding edge. Like for me, like that back down set, after I did the 315 set, we dropped to 225 and I got 19 reps and was shaking at the end. Like if you can train like that, you don't need a lot of volume. You can go do conditioning work in GPP with the rest of your time. I train full body 3 days a week right now, JC, and then I do GPP on the off days. So for example, yesterday I did weighted carries, I did sled sprints, I did med ball tosses, some hanging leg raises, and a set of band press downs for my elbow tendons. So today I did squat, bench press, deadlift, weighted chin ups, overhead press, laterals, and then some neck extensions. Yeah, I'll also have a loaded base, but I like, yeah, man. Squat, bench, deadlift, chin ups, overhead presses. Get your size on, bro. Get really strong at those. All right. Weighted chin ups, weighted pull ups. How far should the bar be in front of your shins in the ready position for conventional deadlift? I start about an inch in front of my ankle personally. Right. About an inch in front of the ankle. No, Patty, you're not shadow banned. I do upper lower rest and 6-day rotation, so I hit upper and lower descent 3 days a week on average with low volume. All right. JC, appreciate the super chat. That's the first super chat of the day. This is so funny. It's hit or miss. I didn't get any all day. We got $1. The 2 days ago, I had $78 in super chats in one live stream. It's so up and down right now. It's comical, like how crazy it goes back and forth. But I appreciate the super, man. It's just funny. The first one of the day, finally, I'm getting close to the end. We get $1. It's like, hey, man, dollar's a dollar, though, guys. It adds up. I appreciate the dollar, JC. I'm surprised we didn't get any, though, in the afternoon this long. I think that original topic before the change may have been the issue. I'm getting a little tired of talking, though, guys. I've talked a lot today. I think it's about time to wind this down. I got to get some more food in. I got to make some other posts. All my shorts have to go up on all 3 of my platforms. So I love you guys. I'm about to get out of here. Let me give you guys a bicep shot. Oh, Connor dropping some too. Appreciate it, Connor. Thank you so much, brother. I'll give you guys a bicep shot first. Oh, Mount Bicephalus. All right, guys. I appreciate those supers right at the close after one of those days. Love you guys, and I'm out of here.